Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you're having a nice vacation. Today we will be solving equations with fractions. This is Chapter 14, Section 6, and this is the start of the second half of Chapter 14. We are going to basically do two different methods to solve these problems based on whether or not the problem is a proportion. Our first example here, we do have a proportion. Might be hard to see it, but watch, I can rewrite this. I can make that 1x over 2 equals 10. Or I can actually make it x over 2 equals 10 because the 1 in front of the x is optional. And one more time, x over 2 equals 10 over 1. And you can clearly now see it is a proportion, and I can solve that by cross multiplication. When you have a fractional coefficient, the variable after it, this x, is associated with the numerator, so it goes on top. That's all I did. So from here to here, I put the x on top. I decided I didn't need the 1, so I got rid of it. And then for it truly to be a proportion, 10 has to be made over 1 as well. So now I'll cross multiply. Let's do that in blue. So I have 1 times x is equal to 2 times 10. X is equal to 20. And look how quickly that problem is solved. We do not want to reinvent the wheel here. If you have a proportion, you will cross multiply. Proportion equals cross multiply. Some of you watch this without sound, so that's for those folks. Okay. Now, B, linear equations with fractions. This is going to be pretty creative. Some teachers do this a little bit differently. I want to get rid of those fractions. Fractions are scary. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply both sides by the least common denominator, which is 6. I'm going to multiply both sides of the equation by 6. So that becomes 6 times 1/3 x plus 6 times 60 is equal to 6 times 5/6 x. Well, 6 times 1/3 x is going to be 6x over 3. 6 times 60 is 360. 6 times 5 is 30x over 6. And you may say, well, Mr. Moore, why the heck did you bother to do that? It looks nasty. Well, watch. 3 goes into 6 2 times, so we have 2x. The poor 360 is just coming along for the ride. And 6 goes into 30 5 times, leaving me with 5x. Check this out. We don't have fractions anymore. Multiplied everything by the least common denominator. So that, and that, which you can see here, here, and here. We did that multiplication and then we simplified the fractions. If you multiply by the least common denominator, you will be able to cancel every single fraction out. And then look how easy this is to finish. We subtract. This is old school. You were barely out of 8th grade when we did this. So x is 120 and it's done. All right. Alright, well, now we have a third category here, decimals. Good news is decimals are actually solved pretty simply. We don't really treat them as fractions. So we're just going to add 1.2 to both sides. You do have to keep track of your decimals, so be careful about it. We're going to divide both sides by 0.03, 0.03, and then we're just going to go to our buddy. I don't like using the calculator too much, but with decimals it's a good idea. So 9.9 divided by 0.03, and we're looking at 330. So y equals 330. So decimal problems, not too big of a deal. We're going to treat them like regular equations. We're not going to treat them like fraction problems. Alright, so here we go. Try to solve. This is not a proportion, so we're going to multiply everything by the least common denominator. What do you think the least common denominator is? Think about it, think about it. Are you sure? How about 15? We're going to multiply everything by 15. So that's 15 times x over 3 plus 15 times x over 5 equals 15 times 8. This becomes 15x over 3 and 15x over 5 is equal to 15 times 8. Yikes! 120. Alright, we can do some reducing here. If you can't reduce, like 3 goes into 15 5 times, if you can't get rid of all the fractions, you pick the wrong thing for the least common denominator. You really should go back and start over. You might have made the problem harder on accident. Although that's hard to tell. Depends on what your mistake was. Alright, let's see. 8 goes into 12 one time, remainder 4. 8 goes into 45 times. And there you go. Moving right along. Number 2, it is not a proportion. Uh-oh. What is the least common denominator? I'll give you a hint. It is the only denominator there is. 4. So we're going to multiply everything by 4. You can make that 4 over 1 if it makes life easier on you. Alright, you don't have to do that. Certainly wouldn't bother with the 20. It's not a fraction. Answer a couple of questions you may have, or at least the big question most students have. Do I have to multiply 4 by 20? Look at these parentheses up here. I am multiplying both sides. It's like I'm doing a distributive property, but I'm doing it to both sides of the equal sign. And since 20 is on one of those sides, it gets the same attention as the other ones. Alright. So we get that. So now we can reduce. 4 goes into 12 3 times, so that's 3x. I get an 80 here, and the 4's cancel, plus x. Look how nice that equation is. Oh my. It's like it's your birthday. Now if it is actually your birthday, that's just a coincidence. We'll subtract x from both sides. You get 2x equals 80. So x is 40. It's going to be the correct answer for that. Number 3. Well, first thing we want to do here is we have to do the leave change. We don't want to have a subtraction problem. It's going to be hard to see some of this stuff. So we'll go 2x plus 7 over 6 plus negative 2x plus 9 over 10 equals 3. This is a very difficult problem, but one of the things that makes it hard is the subtraction. We do leave change, and look at that. No subtraction. Nothing to worry about. Alright, so question is, of course, what is the least common denominator? I got a 6 and I got a 10. What do you think it is? You can use any common denominator, so you could use 60, but that is not the least common denominator. So, how about we do 30? This becomes 30 times 2x plus 7 all over 6, and 30 times negative 2x plus 9 all over 10 is equal to 30 times 3. This problem is tricky, but if we do something smart right now, we can make it a little bit easier. We can multiply both binomials by 30, divide by 6 later, or we could divide by 6 now and then distribute later. Dividing by 6 now is the easier way to do it. 6 goes into 30 5 times, so you're left with 5 times 2x plus 7. 10 goes into 30 3 times, so you're left with 3 times negative 2x plus 9 equals 90. We don't want to have to factor to solve this, and if you distribute first, you're going to get 60x plus 210 over 6. And that is a hot mess. You don't want to do that. Now we distribute 10x plus 35 minus 6x plus 18 equals 90. We got like terms here. 10 minus 6x is 4x. 35 and 18, let's see, 55 minus 2, 53 is equal to 90. That gives us, gosh, I bet you I made an algebra mistake. I'm not feeling confident. So I get 4x is equal to 37. I'm going to pause for a second because I think I've made an algebra mistake. I'll be right back. Let's find. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, I believe I found the mistake. When I distributed here, 3 times negative 2x is negative 6x, but 3 times 9, standing a little too close to the board, there's 27. So we're going to erase this. Becomes 27. 27 and 35 is 50, 62. So that's going to be 62. Subtract 62 from both sides. We get 4x is equal to, let's see, 28. Now we're in business. We divide by 4, we get x equals 7. Alright, so going through this real quick. We distributed the negative. That was the first thing we did. We multiplied everything by 30, which was the least common denominator. Because distributing 30 into our numerators would make the problem a little bit more difficult, we canceled the 30 with the denominators first before we distributed, which got us to right here. Then we distributed and solved the problem normally like a chapter 5 or chapter 6 problem. That's it. Alright, moving on. Number 4 and number 5 actually are both proportions. When we have a proportion, we cross multiply. 5x times 4 is 20x. 3 times 5 is 45. We divide both sides by 20. And since that does not work out evenly, we're going to reduce. Let's see, 5 goes into both of those. 5 times 9 is 45. 5 times 4 is 20. Problem is done. We like the proportions. We're going to cross multiply over here. We get 4 times 44 minus y. We get 5 times 3y plus 1. This is, well, I'm going to bust out the calculator on this. I don't want to waste your time watching me try to work it out on the side. 176. So 176 minus 4y is equal to 15y plus 5 when we distribute. We're going to add 4y. Remember the rule is move the smallest variable thing first. So 176 is equal to 11y plus 5. And subtract 5. 171 is equal to 11y. And then we do 171 divided by 11. 15.5. So we have another error. 176 minus 5. 3y minus 1, that's 15y, 19y. Look at this. Get into a holiday slump here. 15 plus 4 is 19, so this becomes 19y. Getting old. Take some Geritol over the vacation. Get my brain working. Alright, so how about that? How about 9? Well, that's much better. So we divide by 19. You get y equals 9. Done. Done, done, done. Alright, where are we at here with time? Plenty of time left to look at some more here. Alright, what do we got? 6. 3 and 4 both go into 12, so I'm going to multiply everything by 12. Once you get the hang of it, it just gets kind of boring. Let's see, so I got 12 times 2s over 3. I'll make that 12 over 1 just to make life easier. 12 over 1 times s over 4, and 12 times 10. So 3 goes into 12 4 times. See, I can actually pre-reduce right here. This is kind of advanced level. 4 goes into 12 3 times. If you want to be able to skip steps and make this as short as possible, that's the way to do it. Now, that's not 15. Be careful. This is why we don't usually use s's for variables. That's 3s. So we subtract 3s from both sides. That's 5s. Gosh, look at that. They look absolutely identical. 5s, curve it up. Alright, equals 120. So s, whoa, is 24. Done. Let's box it up so it looks fancy. You deserve fancy boxed answers. Alright, here, 4 and 2. Well, 4 goes into 4, or 2 goes into 4, 4 goes into 4. We'll use 4 as our least common denominator. So this gives you, I'll switch color so we can see, tell these problems apart. So we're going to multiply everything by 4, and once again, get advanced on it. Just cancel those out. 2 goes into 4 2 times, and then we have to multiply the other side by 4 as well. So this is y plus 4, and 2y minus 4 is equal to 12. We got to combine like terms over here. 3y. Check out these 4s. Haha. Add up to 0. So we divide by 3, and y equals 4. Done. So we can kind of do some things to our advantage to make life a little bit easier on us. Alright, then we have a couple of decimal problems here to finish up. They're most interesting because for some reason they are tiny. 0.13x equals 0.08x plus, what is that, 9.0. I didn't move the smallest variable thing first, which is what I'm supposed to do, but you'll notice I'm just going to hang in there. I'm not going to violate any rules of algebra, and I will be fine. So this is going to be 13 minus 8 is 0.05. X is equal to 9.0. Divide by 0.05. And what I'm going to do here, because I'm concerned about the decimal places, is do it on the calculator. So 9 divided by 0.05. And when you divide by something really small, your answer ends up being very large. You're cutting 9 up into super, super tiny slices, and that's why the answer is 180, which just seems like it's really big. All right, last question here. We have to distribute, so 0.06x minus, now we have 5 times 0.06. That's going to be 0.30, but we can verify that on the calculator. 0.30 is correct. Over here on the other side, we have 0.04x and then 0.32, which is 0.04 times 8. So we distributed. Distribute, 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 distribute. All right, we're going to move the smallest variable thing, which is 0.04x. This gives us 0.02x minus 0.30 is equal to 0.32. So we'll add 0.30 to both sides. This is 0.02x is equal to 0.62. And then we're going to divide both sides by 0.02. We'll get x is equal to, and this is going to be 31. So I'm kind of doing the work in my head to see if I can kind of get a handle on decimals, and I suggest you do the same thing. They're tricky, but look, I thought it was 31, but I checked it, and it is right. Okay, so let's see here. We are doing page 559 through 60, 41, 43, and 4 through 32 even. If you come in with 5 through 31 odd done to turn into me in a separate sheet of paper, and it's done at a high level, I will give you extra credit, which means I'm going to grade it, and if it's mastery or above, 85 or above, I will give you extra credit. This has to be done on Monday after break so I can get it into your grades. Grades are due for us just a couple of days after vacation ends. I want you to have an enjoyable and safe rest of your vacation. I look forward to seeing you soon.